What? The food? What? I mean, this is an area of history that's just like so deep.
Hand over the baguette.
Themes of empire, mission, inheritance, and destiny. Hello and welcome back to What the Food. This is a podcast that aims to uncover the fascinating origin stories behind dishes from all dishes, food items. I do it every time.
Every time.
It's in there.
If you do it one more time, I'll be looking for another co-host.
That's horrible.
Oh, joke. Irreplaceable.
Oh, thank you. This is a podcast that aims to uncover the fascinating origin stories behind dishes, food items and drinks from all around the world, both popular and obscure. This is part 2 of a 2-part series that we're doing on barbecue. So last week we sort of looked at barbecue more generally, didn't we, Andy? Like, what does barbecue actually mean?
Exactly.
What's the etymology of the word and that kind of thing?
Definitely, yeah. We explored like the origins of barbecue just as a whole, how it kind of came to be and how it spread throughout the world, mainly kind of how it spread to the US, really.
Yeah.
Whereas in this episode, we're going to take a closer look at the different types of American barbecue. We're going to take a bit of a deep dive into their origins, their history, and what makes them special.
Because it is special.
It is special. It is. Unlike anything else around the world, really.
Amen.
Sound good?
Amen, I should say.
Amen to that, brother.
Ain't fucking man, America. I don't care what goes down in the rest of the world, as long as I can sit with my Bud Light and my feet up and my bitch by my side and my barbecue burnt fucking ants.
Yeah, spot on, lad. Spot on. That's the vibe. I want you to carry that vibe throughout the whole of this episode, all right? I don't want you to speak in your normal accent until the fucking conclusion, right?
Don't ask me twice. This episode's gonna get real annoying real fast, man.
This is one of the 4 accents that you can actually do as well, isn't it? So yeah.
I don't know if this counts as one that I can do.
One that you can have a stab at.
Yeah, exactly. Better than my French.
So I mean, before we get started, let's get a little recap on what barbecue is from a friend of the show, Guy Fieri.
Guy is that it? Fury.
Guy Fieri, yeah. Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Because I always see it spelled, and it's kind of a weird spelling, isn't it? Fieri. I wouldn't actually go for Fieri. No, I'd go Fieri. Fieri.
Yeah. Guy Fieri.
Fieri.
Guy Fieri, Roche. Guy Fieri. Just saying words now.
Yeah, we're just literally making sounds. So this is a quote from Guy Fieri.
This is a quote from friend of the show, Guy Fieri, yeah.
There are 2 different things. There's grilling and then there's barbecue. Grilling is when people say, we're going to turn up the heat, make it really hot and sear a steak, sear a burger, cook a chicken. Barbecue is going low and slow, right?
Nice.
So,
simple
you can't,
encompasses it.
Grilling is grilling and barbecue is barbecuing. It's different.
Let's get into it, shall we?
Well, before we do, I think it's interesting to say that it's confusing because you have a barbecue, which is like the apparatus. And so obviously when people are saying I'm going to have a barbecue when they're actually just grilling stuff. But you wouldn't say I'm going to have a grill. So I don't know, I think that's where the confusion comes in. Barbecuing is actually like low and slow. Grilling is just quick flash fire thing.
Yeah, you're right. You wouldn't really say I'm going to go grill. Well, I know you'd say, would you say you're going to go grill?
Going to go and
maybe if you're like deep into the niche at that point.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is what we're going to say now. Yeah, I'm going to have a grill. You want to come round for a grill?
Be that fucking prick. Like you get invited to a barbecue. Like, are you actually doing a barbecue or are you doing a grill? So if you're doing a barbecue, I'll come round. But if you're doing a grill, I can do that at home.
I can do that at home. Yeah, I'll eat before I come if you're doing just a grill. I'll grill at mine. I've got a grill.
I've got a better grill than you. I know I've got a better grill than you. Yeah. So yeah, you are right though. Like someone needs to have a word with whoever sorts the meanings of words out with that one. Come back to us.
Whoever sorts out the meaningful words. There's a guy.
There's just one dude.
I can go to. Yeah, mate. Why did you call a barbecue when sometimes you grill on it and you don't actually barbecue with it?
It's a good question.
Long time ago, I can't. No more words.
No more words. That's it. He's dead. Last of his name. Anyway, let's dive into some American barbecue, shall we? In the first episode, we established that barbecue is largely known throughout the world as a quintessentially American thing.
Yeah.
So much that I would say it gives the old apple pie a run for its money. The culinary tradition of slow cooking meat over an indirect flame has become one of the mainstays of American culture and has spawned countless TV shows, documentaries, novels. Basically, its tentacles have spread through pop culture like nothing else. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is everywhere though, isn't it? Like more than ever. You know, you literally turn on your TV and go onto Netflix and just look through TV shows. You're gonna see at least like 10 TV shows about barbecue on there.
100%. Yeah, and if you watch if you watch one of them, you'll obviously get recommended loads more. But then you'll also start to see movies and TV shows that have nothing to do with barbecue at all, but just have a scene with a barbecue in it. Are used as a thumbnail. That scene, that shot with the fucking barbecue in the frame will be used as a thumbnail to try and entice you in.
No way.
Yeah, that's how it works, mate. That's how algorithm works.
Wait. Hold up. Hey, hold up.
Hold up.
Whoa there.
Hold up there, boy.
Hey.
You telling me if I want to see more beef, they'll show me?
They'll show me more beef.
More beef.
So wait, you're saying that Netflix will change the thumbnails of movies to
based on your interests,
based on my interests, to entice me to watch it even further 100%. Than I would normally.
100%. Yeah.
Right, that's why there's dicks on every thumbnail.
Got it.
That's mad that they do that. That's some crazy AI stuff.
Some crazy algorithm, isn't it? Yeah, because if you go on to say you and Joe have separate Netflix accounts, like profiles, obviously hers is going to be way different to yours because you both watch different stuff. But if you go and look at a series of films on hers and look at a series of films on yours, it's likely that the thumbnails will be different. Hers, if she's more into like romantic stuff, will be like more of the,
when there's two shots, with two people in a shot or something.
Exactly. Whereas you will just be a fucking big cocks everywhere.
Big veiny ones, left, right.
Cocks.
Mad. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, barbecue really is more now than ever. It's so popular, isn't it?
So popular. Yeah, definitely. And then, obviously from the Atlantic to the Gulf, bordered by the western outposts of Texas and Kansas City, the area known as in the United States, known as the Barbecue Belt, houses 4 distinct barbecue traditions. So we've got 4 traditions that we're going to cover today. Those traditions are Carolina, Texas, Memphis, and Kansas City.
Ooh. So almost all barbecue kind of falls within one of those 4 brackets.
So these are like the 4 distinctive barbecue traditions. Like there's probably others out there that are maybe mad different, but these are like the 4 OGs. When someone says barbecue in America, you're going to get likely one of these 4, or at least get a barbecue that's inspired by one of these 4.
All right. It's interesting there's 4 unique ones. I didn't know there was that much variation.
Yeah, well, we'll come to why. But obviously, America's a country made of immigrants. So you've obviously got a lot of cultural kind of differences and a lot of cultural biases coming into play. Yeah. But anyway, spoilers, we'll come to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these 4 areas. We're going to look at where the traditions came from, how in kind of a relatively small region of the country have they evolved kind of across different paths. And we're just gonna dig into these ribs. You know what I'm saying, Miles?
Let's adventure across the meaty juiciness of America.
Exactly. Have you ever eaten proper American barbecue? I know we've been to like Red's and we've been to that place in London.
Yeah, Bodine's.
Bodine's, yeah. But like, do you reckon you can actually get proper American barbecue outside of America? Or do you reckon you have to go stateside to get that shit?
It's a tough one because you can it's a cooking method really. I mean, as long as you've got the right apparatus, but then you're not really eating American meat unless you've imported it.
This is the thing.
The American cows, those Texas cows cooked in Texas in the Texas way. Yeah. It's
raised up the road, like they're not fucking flying on an aeroplane frozen to get to it. They're just.
So yeah, I guess it's all about how much you look into it, how deep you go. But yeah, I mean the stuff we'd have had at Bodine's would have been cooked in a similar way.
Yeah,
but
similar way. Yeah,
it's not the same stuff, is it? Really?
No, it's an interesting question. So the history of American barbecue is as diverse as the variations themselves. Charting the path of a Caribbean cooking style brought north by the Spanish conquistadors, moved westwards by settlers, and seasoned with the flavors of European cultures. You have Carolina residents that would argue that the beef-based barbecue of Texas or the mutton-based barbecue found in Kentucky doesn't constitute authentic barbecue. To them, to be real barbecue, the meat must be exclusively pork because the original barbecuers of the southern colonies depending on the cheap, low-maintenance nature of pig farming. So OG barbecue is none of this beef nonsense. That ain't barbecue. It's pig. It's pig. The main reason for that is, or the main reason for the cow hate from some parts of America is that cows require a large amount of feed, and also they require enclosed spaces.
Right.
They need a pen to put your cows in, right?
Yeah.
Whereas pigs can be set loose in the forest to eat whatever they fucking want, and can just be brought back in whenever you need them. Simple.
Right. So they were just easier to kind of farm. And
yeah, exactly. They could be left to fend for themselves in the wild. They were much leaner upon slaughter as well. And this led to the southern, because they were obviously fending for themselves, they're out in the wild, putting in a lot more shifts than just a cow in a fucking field chewing on grass. Exactly. So the meat was leaner. So therefore, the southerners of America, they utilize the low and slow nature to barbecue and tenderize meat.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The less fat there is on an animal, the more lean it is, the more tough the meat's going to be naturally, isn't it?
Exactly.
So that's where it's those cuts of meat that are going to benefit from that low and slow process that makes it tender. And
yeah, spot on. I had a thought when I found this though. Do you reckon a modern day pig would survive in the wild?
I don't know. Yeah, well, there's all the different breeds of kind of pig, isn't there? You do get the wild ones like the hog kind of ones that still kind of live out there, but your traditional pink fat domesticated pig, nah.
Yeah,
it's getting eaten by the first bloody.
Yeah, so we're in a helicopter, right? We're flying over the wilds of Montana, right? We've got Babe hanging by a rope from the helicopter.
Oh God, don't say that.
We're just gonna drop Babe. We're gonna like land him. We're not just gonna fucking drop him from 1,000 meters up. We're gonna land him and just let him go in the wild. How long are you giving him? Bear in mind he can talk to the animals as well.
We've removed this ability to talk with other animals. It can't barter and reason with any other creatures.
No. We've given him a Glock 9 with one bullet in it as well.
I don't know what kind of predators are knocking around Montana, but I mean, it's not going to survive long, is it? It's going to 4 hours tops.
4 hours?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, even like birds could have a good go at a little pig like that.
Pigs have gone soft in your book, Mills.
It's interesting that you said that like pigs were the leaner ones than cows back then. Obviously, like when you picture a cow, you think it's a bit more lean than a fat piggy. But like you said, back then it was the cows, the ones that were stationary in the pens and on the farms, and it was the actual pigs that were the ones out there doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you did get obviously fat pigs because you could keep, you could keep pigs in pens just like you could keep cows in pens, but it was cheaper to obviously let them roam the land and feed themselves in the wild. Whatever the fucking scran in the wild. So they tended to do that. So yeah, big pig advocates. So much so that during the pre-Civil War years, Southerners ate an average of 5 pounds of pork for every 1 pound of cattle. That kind of shows how mental it's preferred.
It also kind of shows how like deeply ingrained eating meat is to Americans. It's such a fundamental part of who they are, isn't it?
Definitely.
I mean, I don't know. You could kind of argue it's the same everywhere, but I don't know whether it's just because we're outsiders looking in, but it just looks like their association with eating meat is so deeper rooted than anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, they proper prefer pig. 5 pounds of pork. So they prefer pork over cow, what I'm trying to say. And their dependence on this cheap food supply eventually became a point of patriotism, and the Southerners took great care in raising their pigs, and they eventually refused to export their meat to the northern states, which is funny.
What, they didn't share it?
Yeah,
kept it to themselves.
They refused to export it. And it's by this time that the relationship between the barbecue and pork had been deeply forged. These men loved their pigs, and their pigs love them. Well, I mean, until they killed them, butchered them, cooked them over a flame,
until their throats were sliced.
Yeah. Until that point, fucking loved them.
It's surprising that a pig hasn't made its way onto the flag of America at this point.
Where would it be positioned on the current flag?
Amongst the stars in the corner.
Transparency, like 20%, something like that. Just like a thin veil of a little pig.
Yeah, and it's just looking up at the stars, like in wonder.
Are we talking like full body? Full
body pig.
Okay,
and he's just like he's got his head looking up at the stars around him. Oh. He's looking at the 52 states. Like,
right. Well, maybe what we'll do is when this episode releases, we will get Miles to mock up what this flag is going to look like, and we'll put it on our Instagram. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
God. Okay. All right.
We'll get that done.
I'm not good at drawing.
Exactly, that's why it'll be fucking brilliant. But the story of the South's penchant for pork does very little to explain the variations between the barbecue styles that we're going to look into now.
Okay.
To look into these, we must look beyond the borders of America.
Beyond, Andy.
Beyond. We must look towards the influence of the colonial immigrants and the influence that they had on the flavour and the preparation of the meat. So, barbecue can be found in places across the country, but its American origins are in North Carolina. We know this faux sure.
So we know absolutely North Carolina, home of American barbecue.
Home of American barbecue. This is where it kind of took its root in America. This is it. This is the place. Right. Barbecue
North Carolina
spread across the country. It changed in many ways, but North Carolina barbecue has held true to its definition for generations. You know, you've got references to a whole hog barbecued coming from the area, which date back to the 1700s. So obviously at this point we know they're eating pig. We've also got other meats that were common in early North Carolina times. You know, you've got stuff like mutton, I think, was on there as well.
Oh yeah, you said before. What mutton? I don't know. Don't know if I'm a big fan of it. I've tried goat curry before. That's mutton, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was okay.
Yeah, it's just it's very gamey, isn't it? Very gamey.
Bit of a funky flavour.
Yeah.
But I guess if that's what they had available, that's what they had, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And you can have you can have mutton, you can have barbecue beef or chicken, but it isn't really. It's like I said in the beginning, it's not barbecue, and they're not historically referred to as barbecue. It's pork, which was a favourite due to its plentiful availability in the area and its kind of relatively inexpensive costs. You know, and when grilled, chopped, and sauced, it became barbecue.
Yes. Well, pork, just generally, like, within the fibres of the meat, like, apologies to vegans listening, because this is probably, like, the worst conversation ever.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, shout out vegans that would click to listen to a history of barbecue.
Part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Barbecue.
Shout out you.
Yeah, you've absolutely
champion
smashed it if you're this far. But the actual like fibres and muscle tissue of pigs is quite fatty compared to others.
Yeah.
So that's why it makes for quite good barbecue meat, because when you're low and slow in something, it's on there for ages. And obviously, even though the temperature is lower, it's still fucking hot. It's on a barbecue, isn't it? So you need a meat that has the fat in there that's going to keep the meat moist and not let it dry out. If you put like a chicken breast on there, even low and slow, it would just dry. So I think that's why pork is so good for a barbecue. It just maintains that moisture with the fat content.
100%. So I managed to find a quote which perfectly kind of defines what North Carolina barbecue is. And if you'd be so kind as to read said quote.
Meat that has been barbecued, that is, cooked for a long time at a low temperature with heat and smoke from a fire of hardwood and or hardwood coals, that meat being pork, whole hog, shoulder or occasionally ham, sometimes basted and always served with a thin sauce or dip that is at most only a slight variation on a traditional recipe including vinegar, red pepper, and maybe, or maybe not, tomato.
That's it. That's North Carolina barbecue. It's that thin sauce that makes North Carolina barbecue so unique.
Thin sauce. So it's not a thick gloopy, it's a nice wet thin sauce.
Exactly.
Made with vinegar, red pepper, and tomato sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the vinegar and the red pepper, you're getting kind of a tanginess there with that. So you've got the nice meatiness of the pork, and you've got the nice peppery sauce cutting through.
Yeah, exactly.
That works. That's a flavour combo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you see where it's when it mentions a slight variation, there are 3 slight variations on that sauce. You've got the vinegar and pepper. You've got the mustard and light tomato. The first and most original is the vinegar and pepper, and this sauce has kind of pretty much remained the same since early to mid 1800s, and is usually some kind of combination of vinegar, peppers, lard, or butter. So it's kind of the most tangy and spicy sauce out of the 3 that we've just mentioned. And it's kind of the like we said, the sauce that is most likely akin to the first barbecue sauces and marinades used by the Native Americans during the time. You know, they were kind of basted. The vinegar, butter, and salt and pepper, and the pepper were used to kind of baste the whole animals as they cooked over traditional barbecue pits.
Are they using the vinegar as part of the marinade for the actual meat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay, because I think vinegar has got kind of like tenderization properties, hasn't it?
Yeah, they're basting it with this vinegar mix, vinegar sauce.
Right, cool.
Yeah. So I think this practice had actually already been done in the Caribbean beforehand. because we've got reports of colonizers recording evidence of kind of this barbecuing style from the time, where you've got like your the people living in the Caribbean at this time basting the meat in the same way with both vinegar, kind of a spicy pepper to keep it moist. You know, it's the evidence comes from colonists and their enslaved African cooks doing this exact process.
Because again, like you need to keep it moist, don't you? It's like where you're low and slow in it, even sometimes the fat isn't enough to keep it moist, so you need to kind of keep it topped up with basting it. I've seen videos of like people with like spray bottles. You know, they put like apple juice and sometimes vinegar in like a spray bottle, you know, and lift the lid and yeah, that's what we need to get. We need to get bloody What the Food barbecue spray bottles.
Spray bottles.
Add that to the merch list.
Just branded up, just our faces on it.
Yeah, such a niche item, but I might sell a couple. We'll have to make them like 50 quid each to actually bring a profit round.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
From China, 2p each.
We'll get it done. So yeah, they based it with this vinegary and peppery concoction, but they went sauce that we just ran through and adds just enough ketchup for a little bit of sweetness and body.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
The kind of invention for this style of sauce was largely thanks to Mr. Heinz when he and his company began bottling and mass producing ketchup around the same time.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah.
That's a big one to brush over.
Yeah.
Mr. Heinz swooping through.
Mr. Heinz swooping through. These little tomatoey talons on history.
Yeah.
Most writers and historians actually credit German influence for this sauce, though.
No, don't give it to them. Not the Germans.
What a bloody Krauts, not them.
Yeah, they did. Surely not.
Yeah.
For what? Tomato ketchup?
Yeah, they were influential in the region and preferred to cook with pork shoulders rather than the whole hogs. And they are said to have created the sauce to mimic the sweet and sour flavour of dishes from Germany.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah.
You're not going to like this next one either, because the last and probably the most contentious of all Carolina sauces is mustard. Mustard, yeah. So this sauce is kind of hyper-regional. It's a hyper-regional mixture native to the Midlands of South Carolina.
Okay.
And unlike the others, its history kind of isn't really well documented. But again, sorry Miles, some credit must be given to the German immigrants who flocked to this area. Now, there is a theory. You actually might be quite right, because there is a theory you might be quite right in your displeasure for this credit, because there is a theory that this sauce is the creation of the now infamous Bessinger family. Right. It was Maurice Bessinger, who was a devout white supremacist, who first commercialized this sauce and was largely responsible for the popularity in the region.
Well, there was no way we were getting through an episode on barbecue in America without getting to racism as a topic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's just choose to believe it was a nice German immigrant kid named Gunther, and he invented the sauce in his bathtub after experimenting, yeah?
Mother, you see these seeds? They are really spicy when you put them into your mouth and crunch with your teeth. So I crush them all up, go yellow, and put onto my pork, ma.
Spot on. Cheers, Gunther. Oh, Gunther, you're smart little chap, eh?
Fuck anyone who's not white.
Fucking hell. All right. So yeah, let's not give this racist fucking kid any credit for such a legendary invention. Let's give it to Gunther. The original Gunther, not the last Gunther that you
that we fabricated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Carolinas. You know, there are kind of other lesser known styles, but it's these kind of three main styles that really defines Carolinian barbecue. It's the thin kind of vinegar and pepper sauce, the light tomato, which is basically the same but with a little bit of ketchup in it, and the mustard, which is again the same but with a little bit of mustard in it, used for and they're all exclusively used for basting and for keeping the meat moist. Yeah. You'll sometimes get like a little side pot with it in.
Okay.
But really,
dippy.
Yeah, a bit of dip. But really, it's
a basting.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm getting hungry. You're getting hungry.
You're gonna fucking keep getting more hungry. Next up, we got Memphis style barbecue. So
Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis. So Memphis is one of the two cities that kind of enjoys its own barbecue culture, distinct enough to be considered a major style on its own. So we're going to cover Kansas City a bit later.
Move over, Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Memphis, Tennessee in the building, boy.
Boy.
We got
Memphis.
What happened in Memphis?
What's the song? It's over in Memphis. Down in Memphis.
Yeah, something like that. That's how I got
barbecue
to Memphis.
in Memphis. Better than Carolina.
Sipping a pork rib.
Sipping a pork rib. Why is he sipping it?
I don't know. It's dead juicy, innit?
Gulping a pork rib over in Memphis.
Hugging a pork shoulder in Memphis.
Yes.
Anyway, pork shoulder and pork ribs. These are the signature barbecue cuts in Memphis.
Ooh,
shoulder.
Pork shoulder and ribs.
So in Texas and the Carolinas, the pits are usually fired up with some split hardwood logs. But in Memphis, charcoal is the fuel of choice in Memphis. Charcoal.
Charcoal. You want your nice subtle flavour. It comes through with your wood.
Knock. It's fucking charcoal.
Charcoal. Right, okay, charcoal. That's interesting. And what? That's a flavour decision they've made there.
That's a cultural, flavourful decision that they've made in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, but I'm guessing over in Carolina they were still using charcoal as a heat source.
They were, but the pits are usually fired with your hardwood logs. That's how they kind of. Right. That's their technique. They split hardwood logs and they put fresh logs on every time. Whereas in Memphis, you're dealing with charcoal. Charcoal is your fuel of choice.
Right. Okay, so that provides us with a different flavour.
Yep, exactly. A little different flavour infused in the meat. You've also got the city's signature sauce, which is dark, tangy, and sweet, kind of ranging in colour from your burnt orange to your dark brown.
Ooh.
Usually thanks to the base of tomato and molasses. So we're going sweet here. We're going sweet and tangy.
Ooh. Yeah, they're bringing their sugary element into it.
Exactly. And you'll also find Memphis barbecue served with slaw and some sweet baked beans as an essential side.
This sounds more up my street.
Yeah, when I wrote this, I was like, it's a bit of Milo, this one. Yeah.
Milo's gonna fucking frothing at the gash for this one.
This is Milo between two bits of fucking buns. This is Milo.
Yeah, because if you know me, I love coleslaw.
Yeah, you do.
I love ribs. I love pork shoulder, and I love baked beans.
Oh, you do love baked beans.
It's my kind of meal.
Yeah, I've seen you steal a tin of baked beans before.
No, I haven't. I feel like if you're ever going to steal anything, beans ain't the thing you need to steal. No. You can get them for like 25p.
Yeah, you'd steal the ribs, wouldn't you?
You'd get the ribs.
Yeah. It's also an awkward shape to put a can of beans in your pocket. Tin of beans.
Yeah, as opposed to ribs.
Well, they fit down your trousers, couldn't you? As long as you're not wearing shorts, you'd be all right.
I just want to see you try and cram some ribs into your pocket.
All right, yeah. Next time you're around, we'll go up the Asda's.
Yeah.
Half rack, yeah, not a full rack.
Well, if you want half rack, but I'm going full.
Yeah, you're just going to steal it as well, just for fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so Memphis style barbecue itself has its roots in the early years of the 20th century, when you've got the likes of smoked ribs and pork sandwiches becoming lunchtime staples, as well as filling late night treats for revelers at the city's many nightclubs and jazz bars.
Oh God, wouldn't you love to have just gone back there and just had a night listening to jazz and drinking bourbon?
Yeah, it was a simpler time, wasn't it? No smartphones, no cameras everywhere, just laid back, ribs in your pocket.
Ribs in your pocket. Watching a burlesque show.
Beautiful.
Or, a bit of late night jazz, smoking a cigar and offer a little pork sandwich on your way home.
Exactly. Spot on. Memphis in these years was an economic magnet that drew thousands of people from the surrounding countryside to try their fortunes in the big city. A large percentage of these migrants were African Americans, of course, looking for better economic opportunities than just farming. And the city's black population grew from around 3,800 at the time of the Civil War to around 50,000 by the turn of the 20th century, which amounted to more than half of the city's total population at that point.
God, what an explosion of growth.
And one of these African Americans was a man named John Mills.
John Mills.
So John Mills was an entrepreneur who opened a barbecue stand on 4th Street between Beale and Gayoso Avenue in the late 1920s.
All right, 1920s.
1920s, yeah. The late 1920s, John Mills enters the barbecue game. So Mr. Mills was born in Mississippi in 1885. When he was old enough, he enlisted in the army around the time of the Spanish-American War and he was stationed in various places across the country, including at a base in Minnesota, where he served as a mess cook. So this is kind of where he learned his craft.
An army cook.
He was an army cook. He spent World War I stateside and was discharged after the war ended in 1919. Upon the war's end, he made his way to Memphis, where he worked for several years as a porter and a restaurant cook, living with his wife Mary in the furnished rooms of 4th Street. In 1929, Mills went into business on his own, opening a barbecue stand a few doors down the block from where he lived on near 4th Street.
So when you say a barbecue stand, are we...
So, yeah, literally like a lemonade stand, basically.
But don't you need quite a lot of space for barbecuing? Like, I can't really imagine that crammed into a stand.
Yeah, so he's just in a little stand.
What, just smoking meats all day in a little stand?
Yeah, he's just got a little brick pit in an alley out the back.
God, that sounds right up my street, that.
Yeah.
Might get on that.
Next time I come to yours, you just built yourself a little fucking ramshackle wooden barbecue shack like at the end of the fucking garden.
I'm like Mills, Andy. I'm like Mills.
Yeah. In a place that gets like no foot traffic either. So you
just asking my neighbours if I want any meat all the time.
Yeah.
Stinking that whole place out. Oh, all right. Well, fair. Yeah, I mean, not a bad way to, on the street, cooking his food, doing what he loves to do, seeing people, seeing the world go by.
Yeah, no. Well, it turned out all right, because by 1932, he had built a brick restaurant on the adjoining lot, and he would cook pork shoulder in his brick restaurant. He didn't serve bricks, but he cooked them over a brick pit in the alley out back.
Right, okay.
I managed to find a really great quote from the Associated Press dating back to 1938, which reads...
Mills turns and bastes his meat over a charcoal pit. It takes a shoulder 8 to 12 hours to cook, while ribs can be served in an hour and 20 minutes. While the ribs cooked, Mills mopped them continually with what the reporter described as a peppery hot sauce, and he served each order with a side dish of sauce too. Right.
So it's here that we see the several kind of characteristics of Memphis-style ribs. They're cooked hot and fast, done in just an hour and 20 minutes over charcoal and are mopped frequently while cooking.
So they're not like fall off the bone tender ribs, these. They're going to have a bit of bite to them.
I mean, the shoulder's 8 to 12 hours, so that will fucking fall apart. Drip off a bit.
Yeah.
But the ribs is like hot, fast.
Yeah.
Just fucking cut these ribs.
Well, I mean, even in like the little I know about barbecuing, it's just down to preference how you like your ribs. Some people like them really, really tender, falling off the bone, and some people like them with a bit more bite, and you can cook them for as long as you like in between that.
Yeah.
So it's just a personal preference thing, really.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's out back. He's in an alleyway. Did you say
alleyway? Yeah, he's in an alleyway.
I mean, that's not passing food hygiene.
1938, mate. Do what you want.
Simpler time. Can we go back to that? A great time where you might get really, really ill, but the food was great and it was cooked in an alley
by someone called Mills. Exactly.
But surely, come on, like literally all that meat dripping and all the bones and stuff. There's gonna be rats everywhere, isn't there? Surely. No.
I mean, there's rats everywhere now.
Not where my ribs are being basted.
I reckon you've cooked in your garden about a metre away from a rat. I reckon.
Nah, I have not.
I've seen a rat at your house before. I didn't tell you I saw a rat. So, after World War II, barbecue became a serious commercial venture in Memphis, with small restaurants known as joints beginning to open up with a purpose-built pit for slow cooking the meat. Yeah, so Mr. Mills's place was the most famous barbecue restaurant during this time, but there was more and more popping up. So yeah, you've got Mr. Mills. His restaurant is absolutely kicking up a storm in Memphis, but you've also got somebody else. You've got Leonard's Barbecue, which opened up in 1922 and is still open to this very day, but it's highly regarded as one of the best in the city.
When was it opened?
1922, so 100 years. Yeah, 100 years old this year. Mental. Yeah, I mean, bit of a rocky start with this guy. I mean, kind of a cool start, but then kind of not. Leonard Hulberger, I think his name is. Apparently traded his prized Ford Model T for a 7-stool sandwich stand in the beginning in 1922, which 10 years later he upgraded to a drive-in restaurant a mile down the road. Because unlike Mill's restaurant, which served people of all colours and all walks of life, Leonard's only served white people up until segregation ended in 1960s.
Right. Okay.
Deep South, remember? Deep South. Obviously no excuse, but not great. Despite this, though, the cooks would slow roast pork shoulder overnight in a brick-fired pit, which was fired by hickory charcoal. One of the cooks was a bloke named James Willis, who started as a tray picker. And yeah, so James Willis, tray picker, started in 1938, and he learned the ropes from master pitman Tom Tillman, sick name. And Willis recalled keeping the fire going under the meat and turning the shoulders every hour and a half.
Ooh.
Which is mental. And in between turns, he had to regularly open the pit and make sure nothing inside had caught fire, because the grease would regularly catch fire during a barbecue. Yeah. Leonard's crew would also salt the shoulders and cook them for a full 7 hours. For the first 4, they would cook them dry. And the last 3, they would cook them with a mop of the basting sauce, which you kind of went through before. And yeah, like we said, the sauce that makes Memphis barbecue is like this thin, tangy sauce, but because of the sugar, it kind of caramelizes. And I mean, the other thing that you notice with the ribs for Memphis barbecues, you don't actually have any sauce on them at all.
Right.
It's on the side. That's Memphis barbecue in a way. We kind of brush past it. Next up, Kansas barbecue. Kansas City barbecue. So Kansas City barbecue is basically what you imagine American barbecue to be. It's the quintessentially American version of the dish.
Right,
it's not precious with what type of meat it uses. You know, a variety of meats can be barbecued, being seasoned with a dry rub before cooking, and then finished with a tomato-based barbecue sauce at the end. Kansas City barbecue basically encompasses everything from whole chickens and pork ribs to beef brisket and even fish, everything. This is also where you get your burnt ends coming in too. These crispy, charred edges of slow-cooked beef brisket, a delicacy in Kansas City barbecue.
Okay.
It's trademark. So Kansas City's barbecue's boom can be traced all the way back to a bloke named Henry Perry. Yeah, so in the early 1920s, Mr. Perry started barbecuing in an outdoor pit adjacent to his streetcar barn.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Mr. Perry started serving slabs of food wrapped in newspaper to labourers and jazz enthusiasts all over the city. Mr. Perry was born in 1875 and worked as a cook aboard the Mississippi River steamships.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, developing his craft and perfecting his technique. So he's fucking up and down these rivers, cooking away on the steamships.
These crocodile-infested rivers, I must say.
100% crocodile-infested rivers. Dinosaur-infested rivers, basically. Yeah. He arrived in Kansas City in 1907 and began selling his meat in the garment district to anyone and everyone who enjoyed tasty, tasty meat.
The garment district. Everyone's trying to buy really nice garments and everything just stinks of smoke because bloody Perry's smoking his meat 5 yards away.
Everyone's just fuming.
They're trying to buy me garments.
Yeah, everyone's fuming, but like they just can't deny how fucking sick it tastes. They're just like passive aggressive with it.
If you stop coming for lunch, I'll stop making it.
Yeah. He was a hit basically. He smashed it. By 1911, he'd already started to call himself the Barbecue King.
Oh,
yeah. So it's safe to say he was doing all right, but it wasn't all fun and games. It was not all fun and games. We do have a quote from Mr. Perry himself when he was speaking to a local reporter about his financial situation.
Lots of times I just throw up my hands and I quit altogether. Get me a job for $8 or $10 a week. I can't stay away from it. Every time I drift back to this little old taint and start a fire under some kind of a piece of meat.
Oh, shows his love for the meat, that. Cannot stay away.
No. Sometimes he thinks about quitting and getting a normal $8 or $10 a week job, but he just can't stay away from it.
No. And he decided to stick it out and eventually ended up owning his own brick and mortar restaurant.
Whoa. Congratulations, Perry.
Yep. Safe to say this guy was a legend, an absolute legend. So I managed to find a letter printed in a 1917 local newspaper, and the letter was written to Mr. Perry himself.
What, sent into the newspaper? An open letter to Henry Perry.
Exactly, yeah. So it says, Dear Sir, received by parcel post just before leaving Kansas a package of your delicious meats. I am enclosing money order here for $3. Please deduct postage and send me the rest in ribs, and you may put in some mutton. Send this parcel to Clarence R. Brown, 165 Broadway, New York City. Please send this at once, as I want to introduce your ribs to Broadway.
So hold up. I think this is the first ever Deliveroo.
It could be.
This is the first ever Just Eat.
This is it. 1917.
Someone has gone via a newspaper to release a letter to ask for an immediate delivery of ribs.
To Broadway.
In when?
1917.
Yes. Oh, God. There we go.
Amazing.
Deliveroo.
Amazing, isn't
Before
it?
Deliveroo. But that's quite far away, though.
It is, yeah. I'm not sure it's going to travel well.
No, I don't think there's ribs. That mutton is going to make it in the newspaper
you
wrap.
you need to eat barbecue hot.
Well, I mean, not even hot, really, because I mean, a lot of the time when you take it off, after you leave it to rest for like 20 minutes, half an hour.
Just eat it straight away. Don't leave it to rest.
Right, yeah.
Straight down.
That looks really painful, Andy. Are you enjoying that? Yes.
Nice.
But it's not travelling well. That
no, it's not. I just like the.
I don't think he was actually asking for it, was he? It was almost just like, or was he actually asking for it?
I think it was like a testimonial, maybe.
Yeah, just like it almost as if to say, if I could order it that far, I would.
I like how it's like, here's $3. Please deduct postage and send me the rest in ribs.
Yeah. In a simpler time when you could pay for services with whatever you had available.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, I mean, it does kind of show like how highly esteemed Mr. Perry and his ribs were. Also, in 1920, to thank the Kansas community for his success, Perry hosted a free barbecue.
Whoa! Or pillar of the community.
Pillar of the community. And in this free barbecue, he served up to 1,000 free meals to the people of Kansas.
The next day, he closed the shop because he was bankrupt.
Maybe, but he did. On July 3rd, Kansas City marked July 3rd as Henry Perry Day.
Whoa, he's got a day named after him.
He's got a day named after him. Henry Perry Day, which is it's on July 3rd, and it's marks this cookout, basically the anniversary of this cookout.
Let's
Henry Perry Day.
Soon.
Perry loves Kansas. Kansas loves Perry.
When is that? 3rd of
July.
Coming up.
Yeah, you gonna celebrate?
Let's all get together for Henry Perry Day.
Henry Perry. Imagine if this episode comes out.
When does it? Well, we've got one more. We've got one to come out. That's
it comes out on the 4th.
Day after.
Happy Henry Perry Day, everybody. Yeah, you had a good day yesterday.
Hope you all had a great day yesterday. Henry Perry Day.
Henry Perry. Me and Miles fucking ate some ribs. Cooked some pork shoulder. Henry Perry Day.
Henry Perry, baby.
Kansas loves Perry.
Kansas style.
Interesting dude.
Right. So he threw this big day. Everyone came down. He cooked them all free food and thanked them for that kind of attitude is gone now, isn't it?
Yeah,
when would you ever see a restaurant owner throw in a free day of food to thank everyone for coming to his restaurant?
Very rarely. Yeah, you'd never see it, really, would you?
You wouldn't. But do you think that doing that would actually build a really strong community of people that like your restaurant? I think it still would. I think people would still appreciate that.
But you just can't afford to do that. The margins are so thin nowadays. You just can't.
You can't. Yeah, that would fuck you up, wouldn't it? Massively.
It'd really fuck you up. Yeah, shit's just too expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Maybe not then. Fuck everyone.
Fuck everyone. Pay for my meat, please. No, I mean, we could probably do an entire episode on Mr. Perry, as he seemed like a fascinating guy. And we might revisit Mr. Perry in the future, I think.
Well, these characters crop back up without us knowing,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, sometimes we talk about people and then we're thinking about, we're talking about a food, a completely different dish a couple months later, and characters crop back up, don't they?
Yeah. And I do want to maybe do like a bit of a spin-off series where we look at the people behind the food, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, more of like a character study.
Yeah, exactly. Into how they came to be.
Or like, drama in their personal life. They might just have had things that happened to them kind of separate from the food that was super interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of related to the food in some way or another or whatever.
Yeah, or just influenced his life to, that was part of his journey to making the food that he made, sort of thing.
Exactly. But nonetheless, his unique style of cooking involves smoking various meats over oak and hickory woods and serving them wrapped in newsprint, slathered in a tangy and peppery sauce. Perry's generous spirit and tenacity paved the way for many pitmasters who have continued to carve out Kansas City's rightful place as a barbecue destination.
Imagine if we went to America, me and you, and stopped at...
Yeah, well, we did the barbecue belt, which is all that area.
Yeah, that'd be sick if we did that. If we went to America and did the barbecue belt. Yeah. Stopped at each place.
Episodes along the way. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Kansas City earned itself a reputation as a renowned... So just kind of bolting on to why... obviously, it wasn't just Perry that was barbecuing in the city. He's one of the most famous people, but you've also got like a bit of a second wave of barbecue founders. You've got the families of Bryant, Gate, Boyd, Harris, and Thompson, all kind of renowned pitmasters in their own right. Another reason why Kansas kind of grew so big on the barbecue front is that it built itself a reputation as a bit of a stockyard and meat packing city.
Right, okay.
So it was like the ideal kind of migration destination for pitmasters to go in search of work.
So just so much meat coming through, isn't there?
Exactly,
so it's like cheaper and more accessible, isn't it?
Yeah. So together, their kind of distinctive tastes, talents, and flair had created a kind of unprecedented, eclectic barbecue culture recognized on a global scale.
Boom.
So 3 down, 1 to go. Texas.
The last destination on the barbecue belt.
That's it.
We've arrived at Texas.
Texas is a beef-eating, wood-burning state with a soft spot for the right sauce or dry rub.
Ooh, beef is the key point here.
Beef. Yeah.
They are famous for their beef and steak, aren't they?
Exactly. It's also fucking huge, Texas. So it's no surprise.
You've got space for it.
Exactly. It's got space for it, but it's also no surprise that there are a number of regional differences depending on where you are in the state.
What? So there's differences within Texas still?
Within Texas, yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, Texas is bigger than the UK, isn't it? I mean,
way bigger. Way bigger.
So think about how many different accents and colloquialisms and, cultural differences there are between bloody London and York.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just Texas.
Texas is about 3 times bigger than the UK.
Oh my God, that's so hard to comprehend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't
that
it?
one state within America bigger than the whole of the UK.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah.
It would I think Texas would fit in Europe, and it would encompass a bit of France, bit of Italy, all of Switzerland, bit of Vienna, all of Germany, bit of Netherlands, bit of Belgium.
Oh my God. Huge.
Texas.
Cows, steak, guns, helicopters.
Texas. So you've got Central, South, East, and West Texas. And each of them have their own particular traits that kind of separates them from their barbecuing neighbours. Central Texas burns oak and pecan wood.
Ooh, nice.
West Texas prefers burning mesquite wood. Is that how you say it? Mesquite.
Mesquite. I think so, yeah.
East Texas and South Texas barbecue emphasise sauce, whereas Central Texas barbecue is all about the rub. West Texas is usually cooked at a high temperature. Central Texas is usually cooked at a very low temperature. The one thing that most of Texas can agree on, brisket is king of the state.
Ooh, brisket.
The absolute don.
Brisket's quite like it's kind of a tough piece of meat. If you were to fry a brisket, it'd be the most rubbery, tough piece ever.
I don't think you can, It's too big.
Well, no, you just couldn't. But, in theory, it's just like, it's so... Well, it's kind of lean, isn't it? There's not much fat on it. So I think that's why it makes for perfect barbecue, because it's just like, it's all meat. It's all meat. It's one big, long slab of meat. So if you barbecue that and you slice it right and thin, you're going to get juicy pieces of brisket.
Exactly what I did last weekend.
Did you do it?
Yeah. I did a...
How did it turn out? It's notoriously difficult.
Yeah, it was good. I did a 8 hours in the slow cooker.
Oh, nice.
And then I finished it off on the barbecue, just to get a bit of char, and then cut it into, like you said, like slices, and then put it on some brioche buns with a bit of homemade slaw.
Oh,
and some
delish.
Pickled red onions that I'd made.
Oh, God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was good, man. It's good.
You can eat the whole thing. That's the good thing about brisket, is like from start to finish, it's all good to eat.
No waste.
So you just slice away, and I bet you've been having it on sandwiches, haven't you, this past week? Yeah. Bet you've had loads left over.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So that's brisket's their thing then in Texas?
Yeah, exactly. Brisket is king. Brisket is absolute king. So, yeah, I mean, the regional differences in Texas barbecue can largely be explained by the established cuisines of settling immigrants to the area. So you've got, obviously, Texas is quite big. Within kind of each area, you've got different immigrants from different places within Europe arriving. So in Central Texas, their barbecue is credited to Czech and German settlers who owned butcher shops. And what they would do is they would often smoke leftover meat to make it last as long as possible.
Ooh, so like a preservation method.
Yeah, exactly. It was a preservation methods to make sure that the meat that they stocked wouldn't go off and they could continue to sell it.
Because that's something that does come up a lot, doesn't it, on this on the show? Like preservation of meat can play a massive role in the texture and flavour and the recipe of how you cook foods. Maybe start started out as a way to preserve it, but, you know, even with like fridges and modern technology, people still use the same methods just to keep with tradition and keep the same flavour going.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they began offering the smoked meat to customers, and it was so popular that they basically evolved. They evolved from these kind of butcher shops into barbecue joints, just because it was kind of more profitable.
Well, and they could probably still sell the raw meat.
Yeah.
Anyway, they could continue being butchers whilst also adding on the extra barbecue thing.
Yeah, or I mean, they could do that, or they could just, rather than selling the raw meat, just barbecue it all and sell it that way if they want to.
Yeah. Put a bigger markup on it, kind of thing.
Bigger markup, yeah, exactly. But yeah, they would use a very simple dry rub made usually of just salt and pepper. Okay. And you'll also find in Central Texas that the meat actually very rarely comes on sandwiches. It's usually presented on a plate or on a piece of kind of butcher paper with just sides. It's very rare that you'd get Central Texas
into
barbecue
a sandwich.
In a sandwich, yeah, exactly. You might get a bit of white bread served as a side dish, but
okay. So they're focusing in on just the meat, they're letting that do all the talking.
Exactly, yeah.
I remember when I went to this wasn't barbecue, but we went to, when me and Joe went to New York City, we went to Kat's Delicatessen, the famous sort of sandwich shop, and one of their famous sandwiches was pastrami, and it was the weirdest thing ever. As you're queuing up and waiting, you order, you say, right, okay, I'm gonna have one pastrami, please, and as they're preparing your sandwich, they cut loads of the pastrami meat and put it on a little tiny plate and put it up on the counter, and you just can stand whilst you're waiting for your hench as fuck sandwich with loads of pastrami meat in it, really big plate of just pastrami to stand and eat whilst you're waiting for your sandwich. So I was kind of like half full by the time my actual sandwich was ready. Yeah, it was proper bizarre. Like everyone was just stood like hunched over on the counter waiting for their sandwich, eating off a little mini plate.
Mental.
And that's how they did it. Yeah, it's bizarre. It was a nice touch, but like you'd think they'd just give you maybe one slice, like this is what's coming up in your sandwich. But the guy kept going. So
you didn't pay for that?
No, you didn't pay for that. That just everyone gets that with their order.
Mental.
Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So, to be fair, I don't know why I'm acting like that's weird, because, you know, when I'm making a ham sandwich at home, I'll probably eat a slice or two whilst I'm making the sandwich.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
It's almost the same thing. Yeah, these uncultured Americans, and I'm just at home doing the exact same thing.
Bit fucking wafer thin ham sticking out your mouth.
Yeah. But they're doing a similar thing. They're just having in Texas. They're just literally cutting the meat and having it on paper. And
in Central Texas, in Central Texas. Yeah. Right. So that's Central Texas. South Texas is famous for its barbacoa.
Ooh, okay.
Which was introduced by the Mexican farmhands near the border.
I was going to say it's got that Mexican South American influence, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it favors kind of a molasses-based barbecue sauce that locks in the moisture from the meat.
Yeah, different kind of spices as well, isn't it?
Different kind of spice, exactly. And it's heavily kind of intertwined with Mexican cuisine, and it often, strangely, features cuts of meat such as tongue and cow's head.
Ooh, okay. So what mixed into it?
So they barbecue a whole cow's head.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Because I always thought barbacoa was kind of like pulled beef. Am I right in thinking that, or is that something different?
So barbacoa is just well,
no, barbecue is what we said on last episode, wasn't it? That's just a cooking method. That style of
exactly, yeah.
Got you. Because I think there is a dish called barbacoa, which is something different, and it's beef. It's pulled beef.
Barbecue, pulled beef. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
So there is a difference there, but
so this is just like barbacoa, as in the style of cooking that we kind of covered off in episode 1. Yeah, it's just where obviously it's Spanish, isn't it? And that's kind of where the origins of the word barbecue came from. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they do like the whole cow's head, barbecue that up, which I imagine, to be fair, as long as you take the eyeballs out, I bet that's fucking peng.
Well, this is the catch-22 with things like this, because it when you say cow's head, it sounds disgusting, but you're right. Like those little pockets of meat, in a cow's cheek and tongue, like tongue meat is well known for being a good flavour. So it sounds disgusting, but they are nice, aren't they? These things. Yeah. A head though, you just don't want to be eating a head of something, do you?
No. Like every time you baste it, you just got to lift up that fucking
just
lid,
look at its face.
Head. I'd turn it the other way. You'd have to turn it the other way, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Stop looking at me. Yeah. But then, offal is often used mixed in with sauces and things, and these kind of like less sought after cuts of meat are often the most flavoursome, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, bloody cow's head. Yeah, because it's going to have all its teeth there as well and stuff.
Yeah, it's not going to be nice, is it? Oh no, it will be. It will. Once it's cooked, it'll be sound. Yeah. I'd eat it. I'd eat it.
Yeah.
So that's the South. The East, so the saucy, chopped barbecue of East Texas is credited to African Americans who settled in the area after the emancipation began from slavery. This is like the falling off the bone stuff that you strive for.
Yeah.
This is, the sauce is itself kind of tomato based and is usually quite sweet. You'll find it served in sandwiches. You'll find it served just kind of as a pile with a
pile
on a plate. I didn't know how to describe it in a nice way.
Yeah.
A portion on a plate.
Yeah.
This is your saucy stuff, basically.
Yep. Okay.
Kind of sweet, usually quite sweet, tangy, beautiful.
This is East Side.
East Side. This is East Side.
Texas East Side.
Texas East Side.
All right. So they're liking it a bit more wet over towards the east.
A bit more wet towards the east, yeah. You go more east, you get more wet, what they say.
Yeah.
In Texas. Yep. And finally, you've got West Texas. And West Texas barbecue is often called cowboy barbecue because it is cooked over an open fire and it was birthed from the day of cattle drives and trailblazing. It's more grilling rather than smoking, really.
Yeah, it's a hot flame.
Exactly, but this is very much like frontier life. This is kind of this style barbecuing. You've got your cowboys driving cattle from A to B and stop off halfway, maybe just fucking scram one of the cows.
So this is like steaks, cooking steaks on a grill.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think they do some
slower ones.
Some slow stuff, but it's usually open fire.
Right.
Here we go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, West Side.
Yeah, I mean, each of these areas, distinct styles that, in my opinion, absolutely slaps. I'd eat all 4 kinds of these.
Yeah.
I'd work my way through them all.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, every single fucking one of these things I'd probably eat today that we've spoken about.
I know.
The Carolinas, Memphis, Kansas, Texas, even the marrow, I'd scrounge a lot.
Yeah, I'd be there with you.
Yeah, feasting on my bones that I'm passing you.
Yeah, having your scraps.
Yes, Andy.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem, Andy.
But no, you're right. Like I think barbecue food is just paying, isn't it? It's just so good.
Yeah, so good.
There's not much to not like about it. Like obviously,
no,
unless you're vegan, but or vegetarian. But yeah, if you like eating meat, then there's absolutely nothing to not like about it. And the thing is, within the umbrella of barbecue, there's something for everyone as well. Like say you're not really into beef, but you can have some really good barbecue chicken or pork, or it's so versatile within the boundaries of barbecue that there's something for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%.
And even like I don't know if it counts, but like even like vegetables that have been barbecued. When you throw corn on the cob on a barbecue and let it char and pop, and you take that off and rub a bit of butter on it, like.
But then technically you're grilling that, aren't you?
Well, you can't. Yeah, you kind of grilling it.
Can you do a low and slow veg? You could do like jackfruit. Is that not something they do?
Yeah, you could do something like that. I mean, you could, in theory, cook anything in the same way you would use an oven on a barbecue. Lid on, in direct heat. You could make a stew. You could do anything really, and you'd still get like a more barbecue version of it because you're getting that smoky flavour infused in it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what an adventure, eh?
There's something for everyone.
All kinds of meats, techniques, sauces, and people in this story. What an adventure. Yeah, I imagine we'll revisit some of these styles later down the line because they all deserve an episode in their own right.
Definitely.
And I'd like to do a few episodes of actual pit masters, as there's some out there that have probably put in weeks, years to perfect their craft and push the culture forward. So fascinating characters.
Dedicated their whole life to it. Like this isn't something that this isn't just like a fun thing they do on a Saturday. It's like these people live and breathe barbecue.
We'll get a pitmaster on the show. That's what we'll do.
Oh my God, that'd be sick. That'd be so good.
Just do it. A bit of an interview with the pitmaster.
Yeah, it'd be so fun.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Barbecue.
Boom. Done. 2 parts.
Done. 2 parts.
Don't say we don't give you good content.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. Barbecue part 2.
There we go.
In the bag.
That's it. In the bag.
A lot of research there. You've sifted through the tomes of history and delivered us some concise information.
Because most of it is like relatively recent in the grand scheme of things. There's actually just so much information on it as well.
But it's as with any kind of American history, it's all relatively modern, isn't it? But there you go, barbecue part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. I've learnt a tremendous amount and had fun whilst doing so.
Excellent. That's the aim of the game, isn't it? That's the ethos of this show, and why we wake up every day and get out of bed.
Yeah. Edutainment is the term.
Oh.
Edutainment.
I like that. You made that up?
I wish I did, but I didn't. I saw it somewhere. I saw it described in another podcast somewhere. But yeah, edutainment. I feel like that kind of encompasses what we do. in a nice way.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. I know we took a break recently and we're back into the swing of it now, and you guys are coming back to listen to the episodes, and it's great to have people who actually listen and who care and are into it, and it's really nice to be making stuff for you guys, and just a nice big thank you to you, really.
Shout out. Stay true, homies.
If you want to suggest a dish, feel free. You can email in at whatthefoodpodcast@gmail.com. You can suggest a dish that you want to learn more about, and we can do the research and discuss that and give you a shout out. And another quick one, if you could like or rate, you can rate now, can't you, on Spotify? That really helps us.
I'd give you a 7 out of 10, mate.
Don't do that. Cool. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for our next episode. Thank you for listening.
Eat well, folks.
Eat well. Goodbye. And make sure you get your burnt ends.